futures as playwrights, painters, concert pianists, and .com entrepreneurs, but they remained as unknown now as they had been then. One had become a speech therapist, two had married and started families, a fourth had moved to Peru to work for his aunt's tourism business. Liesl, her closest friend, saw her off, pretending on the long cab ride to JFK from Jayne's apartment on East 2nd Street that she fully supported Jayne's move overseas. But as they said goodbye, a few feet from where the security line began, Jayne was startled to see that her friend had started to cry. "Liesl," she whispered, her own throat threatening to close over, "I'm not leaving forever." She stared down at the dirty floor, its dull white surface streaked with black slashes from the thousands of rubber soles that had already shuffled over it that afternoon. "You don't know that," her friend said softly. She wiped her eyes, embarrassed. The last time Jayne remembered seeing Liesl in tears was at another friend's birthday party 3 summers earlier, when someone had slipped in a DVD of The English Patient, thinking it high comedy to couple the film with the party's Pogues soundtrack. The prankster had underestimated the movie's appeal to some of the drunken guests, Liesl especially, who in high school had seen it in the theater 5 times. Jayne herself had seen it 3. "Of course I'll be back," said Jayne. "You don't know when, though." "No, but you can come visit me, can't you? And I'll be on the other end of the phone any time you need me." 6 hours ahead of me. "Yes, but I'll still be there. We can Skype and email too." She took one of Liesl's small hands in her own, noticing that the freckled skin of her friend's arms had turned to goose flesh inside the over-air-conditioned airport. "For all I know, I'll be back next week." Liesl shook her head. "You won't be. So come see me, or I'll have to fly back and kidnap you." "I'd better go before it gets any later. I have another hour or 2 of work left at the office," said Liesl, trying to smile. She hugged Jayne one more time, hard, as if to hurt her a little, and fled. Jayne stood blinking after her friend, bereft. When she turned to look back a moment later from her place at the end of the security line, Liesl had already disappeared, her brown ponytail and yellow blouse no longer visible in the crowd of harried travelers. 2 red-headed children complained to their father about sore feet, neon green backpacks slung over their narrow shoulders, one of the packs stuffed to sausage-like rigidity, the other limp as an airless balloon. Near them, a woman in pink shorts and a black tank top was snickering at something a man in a Yankees cap had whispered, his mouth hovering at her ear. He had an overgrown blonde mustache, and Jayne wondered if the woman sometimes dreaded kissing him. Probably not, considering the way she was leaning into him. Jayne heard her phone chime, the sound almost lost in the cacophony of departure. It was a text from another friend, Melissa, who had not been able to find a sitter for her 6-month-old son and ride with Jayne and Liesl to JFK. "Miss you already. I'm jealous and would do what you're doing in a second if I could." Melissa had been married for 2 years to a man she'd met on a backpacking trip in Colorado. She had not intended to have a child so soon, but as she sometimes said, this was nothing to be sorry about. She was nuts about her adorable son, who was healthy and a frequent smiler, and who, to Melissa and her husband's surprise and relief, had begun sleeping through the night at 3 months. The image of Liesl in tears stayed with Jayne as she passed through security and settled at the gate in the Air France concourse. That her friend would miss her terribly, or the opposite, had not been foremost in Jayne's thoughts as she'd made plans to leave New York. Until they'd said goodbye a few minutes earlier, Liesl had not seemed very upset by Jayne's move to Paris, only a little wistful that she wasn't going too. Jayne didn't believe in any case.